to build the culture. I am Seth Harrison, and this is my partner, Thomas Hardy.
Yep. Just killing kindness with construction. That was great.
Killing construction with kindness.
What did I say?
Killing kindness with construction. That's the complete opposite of what we want. That is the complete opposite of what we want to do.
That's the state of our industry. We're killing kindness with construction.
Yep.
Not
killing. That's what it
killing
is.
construction with kindness.
What we want to do is kill construction with kindness.
That's sorry. I was trying to do too many things at one time, and but that's what we do. We don't cut anything. We don't change nothing. That's just how y'all get it.
Yep.
I was actually pulling up the weather radar.
That's the episode.
Talking. And over. We'll start over.
All right. So, our last episode, it was pre-LCI. Here we are post-LCI. And we had a lot of conversations with some folks, and it was great conversations.
It was really good. Met a lot of new people. Saw a lot of familiar faces out there while we were there. Got to see, what's his face? Zuckerberg. Got to see his boat.
We didn't see Zuckerberg himself. We saw his yacht house.
His
cruise ship
away from home while he's on the cruise ship. That's one way to put it. It was massive.
Yeah. It was huge.
Yeah. So what else did we see? Saw SEAL Team 6.
Jocko.
Saw Jocko. We did see Jocko, which is really cool. If you ever get the chance, YouTube him, Google him.
Went to the Maritime Museum, dressed up
really cool.
as a pirate for half a second.
For the people who actually follow us.
Yep. But no, it was a good time. Ate some good food. And it's a good time. Real good time.
What was that place called?
Which
Rosemary's on the beach.
The burgers.
I thought that was fantastic.
Oh.
Over in Mission Beach.
Yeah.
Don't get the chance.
Rosemary's. They only do sliders, but there's some fat. They are some fat sliders for being a slider.
And French fries.
Their fries are freaking delicious.
But
Thomas had you had the elote.
Spicy elote fries.
Spicy elote fries, and then I had the bacon blue cheese fries. Oh, with pickled red onions on it. Oh my god,
it was amazing.
Delicious. Mm-hmm. All right, this isn't a food podcast.
Well, it could be.
It could be.
It could be.
We never know. Talk about food a lot. A lot.
Now that you say that, we kind of do. Okay. So, to be honest with you, I did not look at the show notes before today.
No, that's fine.
Before we got together, so
I didn't really make any show notes.
Well, you had a description of what we want to do.
Yeah.
Are we gonna stick with it?
Yeah. So,
are we gonna we're gonna go off script like we did last time?
I mean, we always go off script. Always go off script. But that being said,
okay. So tell us what we're going to talk about today.
What I would like to talk about is how we can better set up our field staff for success.
Okay.
And
keep going.
So what I will say is that one of the conversations that we had, this is a very unique situation in my opinion. So this company has a contract with a hospital. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First off, they get all their new builds and renovations and all that good stuff, but they also, part of that contract is that they have it's almost like a maintenance contract with them. So if there's ever any maintenance emergencies, whatever, it goes to them. So what
does the group have an engineering firm? The hospital?
They do.
Okay.
But they're just not equipped. It doesn't sound like they're equipped to handle it. So their engineering department or their, maintenance, whatever you want to call them, their facilities just doesn't sound like they're equipped to handle these emergencies that sounds like happens often. So there's like a whole nother issue there. But what we learned in that conversation is that they just, the superintendents that are running the projects on the site are also serving as like service techs. So whenever these emergencies happen, they get the call.
It just clicked. I remember what conversation you're talking
You remember this conversation now?
It took me a minute. I was like, wait a minute. Was I there when we had this conversation?
You were 100% there.
I was there. I remember now.
Yeah. Like, so these superintendents, work, let's just call it a 50-hour work week. And then the next thing you know, they're there for, another freaking 36, 40 hours over the weekend because the hospital had an emergency. Man, talk about burnout.
Yeah, that's insane. Okay, so everything's coming back to me now. I think the story that we were talking about was something around, it was right around Christmas. And the superintendent who was there had a...
yes.
Sorry, my phone's ringing. I'm going to turn it off. But he was there, and it was Christmas, and he was getting ready to go home. He had just had a baby, or his wife just had a baby. He didn't have the baby. And that they were getting ready to leave, and there was an emergency, like it flooded the third or second floor down, and he had to be there all weekend through Christmas, and he had, missed Christmas morning and stuff like that, and they didn't really have another option to cover the shift.
Yeah.
And they had nobody there, and he had ended up working all week long and then missing time with his family, time with his brand new newborn, and all this other stuff. And it just, as an industry, yes, when you work in hospitals, they run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They never stop. So when things happen, things do happen. But when there was no compensation, from what I was gathering from him when we talked about it, there was no compensation from his company to him saying that, hey, yes, you're going to work through the holidays. Yes, you're going to be doing all this, but they didn't get any sort of anything for that.
No.
And they weren't set up as a company to allow that to happen. They just were like, okay, well, you're there, so go fix it.
Yeah. No, that was, so in that situation, they need to have a separate service tech group or have an on-call system or something where these guys aren't, working full weeks and then next thing you know, you're working a full second week within that week.
Yeah, exactly. With no time off in between. It's like, okay, well, now here's a holiday, work through it, and then you go back to work.
Yeah.
Because your project's still got to keep going the next day.
No. Yep.
Something that we do out here in the project that I'm on now, we have a 10-week weekend rotation.
Okay.
So once every 10 weeks, you work the weekend.
Okay.
And all the 9 other weeks in between, you don't have to work. There's somebody there that's going to cover the whole job that weekend.
That sounds fair.
It severely fair here, but it sounds like we're...
And on the size of the project that you're on, too.
Yeah. And it works out because everybody has planned to know what they're doing for the weekend and has already talked to all the trades who are working in their area who know what they're supposed to be doing and pass the information down to the person who's working for the weekend. That those people just have to show up and just make sure that things are getting done, the job site gets locked up at the end of the day, make sure it gets opened in the morning, and make sure really nobody gets hurt.
Yep.
And it's a cool rotation, and it takes a lot of pressure and a lot of stress off the rest of the superintendents here. But for something like this, what we're talking about with this conversation that we had, it's hard to believe that we're still, we've all been talking about this for I don't know how long, for many, many years now, about how we want to change the culture of construction to where you're not getting burnt out. You can have superintendents who actually live longer. They don't have heart attacks. They don't have health issues. They don't have all this stuff early in their life.
Yep.
But this is a prime example of why it happens.
Yep.
this is something that just shows like the person who's, I don't know if I want to say it this way, but I'm going to, the person who's taking in the majority of the money is not the one who is there working all the time there. And it's not the one who's really, I mean, they're doing other stuff, but not suffering as much when you got to work through the whole weekend on a holiday and stuff like that. So it's just crazy to think that this still, to a sense, still goes on.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling how that still goes on. Like if this opportunity came across,
I'm going to say, comment in the comment section of how you would fix this issue, or if you've had this issue before.
Exactly.
Tell us what you think.
And then, like if this opportunity came across my plate, as you know, as a VP or the CEO of this company, like the first thing I would say is, I don't have the manpower to take this on. Now, if we do take this on, I will need to, like, we can restructure to make this work, but at this moment in time, it doesn't work. I mean, I wouldn't want to put my people in that situation.
Exactly. But from a CEO's perspective, how do you do that?
I need a CEO to comment on this. What would you do?
If you're a CEO out there, comment on this. How would you
do that? What would you do?
Because that's a hard thing to do also, because you can't really have a full staff just sitting to the side saying, hey, I'm ready for an emergency anytime when I need it. Now you're paying somebody all the time to sit there until the emergency comes up.
Yeah.
So how do you make that work? It's a tough. This is a tough subject to kind of figure out.
I mean, there definitely had to have been some. There would have needed to be some better conversations, like an on-call system. I feel like would work better than what's going on now. Like, oh, you're on the campus, you take care of it.
Yeah. Or maybe playing it out in advance.
Yeah.
To say, hey, if something does come up during the holiday, like this is the person in charge and not the person who's worked 40 hours the entire week.
Yeah.
Maybe it's somebody that got 2 days off in the middle of the week or 2 days off prior to that. And then that person's on call for Christmas or New Year's.
Yep.
Or Thanksgiving. Valentine's Day. Do we even want to throw that holiday out there?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. Because of work, I can't remember the last time I had a solid Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I mean that's a solid point. Like, you can probably poll, and we can probably do a poll about this.
Yeah,
if you want to. I know you're the tech guru, so let's make a poll about this. I know you got
that's an overstatement.
I mean, it took us like 20 minutes to get the microphone set up again this time, but
no, it wasn't the microphone issue; it was internet.
All right. It was both, but you still look kind of a little hazy, so I don't know how the internet is on your side. But do a poll and say, and ask the question, like, how many superintendents out there, actually did something for Valentine's Day, or actually were able to plan something out? Whether it is, on Valentine's Day or the weekend before, the weekend after, because you never know where you're going to be and what you're doing at that time.
Yeah.
Unless you really plan it out, but still having that. Knowing somebody's on the job site or knowing that something could go wrong during that time, like how do you work through that?
Yeah. I mean,
there's some tough questions that got brought up during our conversation during LCI.
Yeah. And I mean, I wish, it was like one of those things like, they were like give me some kind of advice to help me fix this situation. I'm just like, man, I'm taking in everything you're telling me, and it hurts me to say it that until leadership fixes that situation, or you leave, you're in that situation.
Yeah, but who says if you go to another company, it's not going to be the same way or worse? And you won't know that until you get there and you're in that situation again.
That's a whole nother conversation on interviewing the company, not the company interviewing you.
True. There's another podcast idea.
Yep. So, continuing with the spirit of setting up our field staff for success, another one would be, like, I'm sure the comments would be going off on how often you have enough time to plan on your next project. Like, how many times has it been like, hey, we needed you there yesterday? And like, you haven't even gotten to look at the drawings yet.
But just majority of the time.
Yeah. Probably, you want to give it a good like 85% of the time?
Yeah, I'd say pretty close.
Would you go into the 90s?
I wouldn't say 90s. I mean, if you're on sometimes you get on a campus or you get, and you get 3, 4, 5 projects going at the same time, and you know that you're a part of that from the very beginning, and you know what's coming up. But then there are other times where you're, finishing a job on another campus, and they're like, maybe 3, 4 weeks before, they're like, hey, this is where you're going to go. Here's a set of drawings. Kind of study them when you can, but you're trying to finish up, wrap up, get state inspections, final inspections, demobilize from the job site. So you don't really have time to study the drawings. And then it's like, hey, here you go. You finish on a Friday. Woohoo, you finished. Everything's good. But then like Monday, Tuesday, the next week, first trade is starting.
Yeah.
Or you're going to put up ICRA barricades, or you're going to do whatever it may be in that area. And that is a tough time. You're already starting behind the 8 ball. You're already starting behind. So how do you catch up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to spitball some ideas here. Like, would it be beneficial to have like whoever your A and B plans for that project, as leadership decides, staffing, placement, and everything? Would it be beneficial to have A and B superintendents know a little bit ahead of time, going like, hey, it's probably going to be one of y'all? Have a superintendent should have like already been notified, putting some kind of plan together, and then I don't want to call them A and B, but whoever's like slotted for that project already has a plan put together, has schedule put together, all this logistics, whole 9 yards, and then whoever the backup is, maybe be in communication so everyone knows that there's a general idea for a plan, right? And if things go south, they're just not, and B superintendent has to take over for whatever reason, then they're already kind of in the know about the project.
So you're talking about pre-construction. You're talking about bringing in 2 superintendents into like the pre-construction time.
I'm just saying, would it be beneficial? I'm just, like I said, I'm spitballing.
I mean, if both those superintendents have time to jump on calls and meetings and stuff like that in that time frame, to where after you're awarded the work, into where you're still trying to figure out the financial side of it and you're still trying to figure out logistics, yes, I think that'd be great to bring in superintendents at the field staff at that point to say, hey, this is where you may or may not be, but at the end of the day, like, even if you're not, there's 2 superintendents here who can, one could be the superintendent or one could not be, but be able to bring them in early enough so they have knowledge of the project and I'm talking like smaller projects, and you're under $5 million, under $10 million projects, to where you don't have that much time in between, to where you can bring them in there early enough to where they have done their homework and study the drawings and know what's going in and what type of equipment, or where stuff is inside the building, stuff like that. I think that'd be beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, and if that wasn't possible, I mean, I can't count on my fingers how many times I've gone into a project, almost blind. I don't know what else you could do to help them out. So, for instance, like, what if you get a project, right? You're told you got 24 hours to be out there, and you need specific ICRA barriers because of this place requires you to use a certain, we'll throw out name brand Stark panels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And currently all of your Stark panels are being used up on other projects. So you're supposed to be putting up ICRA in 24 hours and there are none. So how do we get someone, like, whether it's A or B, someone to get ahead of the planning and really source that stuff out? Which usually it's the superintendent. Like, PM's just like, okay, yeah, we need this. That's great. But they're not sourcing out the ICRA panels like we do. Like, we go out there, we measure what we need, we go grid them, put them up. So, I mean, like, what do we do?
So is that a inventory issue? Because it sounds like somebody was told to go somewhere and use these specific Stark panels, and then there was none available.
Yeah.
Was that an inventory issue? Is that somebody that needs to manage that a little bit better? Or is it a...
I mean, it sounds like they might need a warehouse manager.
Maybe. Or somebody who can keep track of it all.
Or wait.
It could be give more than 24-hour notice for a project. But sometimes that just happens.
What are y'all using out there for warehouse management?
Us?
No. Just, I'm asking the viewers, not you. I'm not talking to you.
Oh, me personally? I mean, I see what's on my desk, and there's my management.
The viewers, what are y'all using out there?
Oh, the people.
The people.
You were looking right at me when you said it, though.
Well, where else am I going to look? I'm going to look out here. What are y'all using for warehouse management? There ain't nobody in here with me.
That'd be better. Hey guys.
Hey guys.
What are you guys looking at?
Every time we talk to people, like the viewers, all right, we look off screen. But what about the people that listen on Spotify that don't have video? What are they?
They just have to imagine in their head that you're looking off screen talking to them.
Man, we're good at this. Gosh dang. Gosh dang, we are good at this.
Oh man, that's twice today I've screwed up.
Oh, you didn't screw up.
Well, it's fun. But, yeah, I mean, so comment. What are you guys using for warehouse management? What are you guys doing for that? Like, how do you guys, kind of manage those issues that come up to where you need something in a hurry and then you find out you don't have any? And I'm assuming Stark is one of those things, and actually I know Stark is one of those things that's a 3 to 4 to 5 week lead time. So if you're looking to start a project and in a specific campus that needs that product, you don't have it for 3 or 4 weeks, like, what are you going to do? You're going to order it because you know you need it. But do you go to another campus within your company and say, hey, I need these for 3 or 4 weeks? And you're shit out of luck for 3 or 4 weeks? Or do you go back to your client and say, hey, man, well, here's the thing. I don't have the right stuff for 3 to 4 weeks. Can we delay the project for 3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, those are like the only options you got, unless you convince them to let you put something else up temporarily.
Yeah.
But when you're working on hospital campuses, that's kind of one of those things where you don't really want to do that.
Yeah. No. And ICRA nurses can make or break your life.
Well, and they also protect a lot of people's lives within that hospital.
Oh, absolutely. It's on them.
It's
on us. It's on them.
I mean, their job is very important, in my opinion, on campuses.
No, absolutely.
One of the most important ones, besides the nurses, and the doctors,
but
and everybody else who works in the hospital.
And if we got anybody, that listens on the GC side that's in a leadership position, like what do y'all do to make sure that your field staff is prepared and set up for success to go out on a job site and win?
There's got to be something out there.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
What else?
I mean, making, one of the things that I don't like to do. I don't want to be. I don't want to be a firefighter. And
no, nobody does.
And that's what's happening. You get told that you're going to be on a project in the next 24 hours, and you're already being set up to be a firefighter
or putting out fires.
Yeah, putting out fires.
Whatever. I mean, everybody wants to be a firefighter. When you were a kid, you wanted to be a firefighter.
No, I wanted to be a policeman.
I know I did. Oh, well, there you go. I wanted to fight
or an astronaut.
Drive around with Dalmatians.
Kind of made that first one half true.
You did make it half true.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I was an MP for 6 years. So,
thank you.
You're welcome. Don't thank me for my service. Please don't do that ever.
But I do want to kind of wrap things up here a little bit. We've been going for 27 and a half minutes now.
Well, we need a little bit more lightheartedness.
We might have to make this a part 2.
Ooh.
I think you like that teaser.
Wow.
See what I did there?
We've never done a part 2.
We're only like 4 episodes in, so part 2 coming next time, because I think this conversation needs to keep going. To be honest with you, but on kind of a lighter side of things, there's something I want to talk about. As some of y'all may know, last week was Halloween, right? And so out here on our job site, which we'll post some pictures, I get some videos that we can share. We did a site-wide costume contest. And we ended up, I personally didn't do it, but there was a lot of, some of the trade partners and some of the field staff here cooked brisket for everybody overnight.
Heck yeah.
Excuse me. But they stayed all night long, cooked a bunch of brisket for everybody to eat lunch the next day on Halloween, and had a Halloween, costume contest, and made people get up there, and they had different prizes and all sorts of fun stuff. So it was a cool thing to appreciate everybody who's working on this job site here, to make it, and to show the appreciation for everybody who's here. It was really cool to see.
I mean, you never see anybody really do anything for Halloween, not on a job site. It's always the typical 4th of July or, typical holidays.
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome. So, what was the top costume?
I knew you'd ask me that question, and I forgot.
Okay, what was your favorite?
Pancho Vide.
Okay.
One of our sprinkler fitters came as Pancho Vide, and he had a little mustache.
Y'all's so our one of our safety officers there, Andy, he saw his costume.
Was pretty cool too.
He was dressed up as Thor. That was pretty awesome.
He was big Thor. Andy's a big guy.
Yes,
he's big and just a big guy.
Where the time of Thor's timeline of being a drunkard and playing Call of Duty all the time.
It was fun though. It was cool to see it. Awesome. Everybody was smiling. I mean, even the rule was if you wore your costume when you were eating, you didn't have to wear your PPE while we ate outside at the loading dock.
Oh.
So it was cool. A lot of those guys appreciated that.
Little incentive.
Yeah, exactly.
Bless you. You good? You need anything?
Oh man, sorry. Had a little coughing fit. Got some dust in my throat, or swallowed a bug or something. I don't know. So, well, I think this is a good point to end it, because I think I'm going to have another coughing fit here in a second.
So, on the next episode of Build the Culture,